everybody, Jack Dangerous here with another video, and today, although it might seem like we're in VRChat, we are actually going to be checking out one of VRChat's direct competitors, Chillout VR. So in today's video, you're going to see me experiencing this game for the first time and really getting to know how the game works. There's a lot of different systems that it has that are very different from VRChat while also being humblingly similar to it as well. So I encourage you guys to watch the video all the way through so then you can learn as much about this game as possible, and maybe if it interests you, check it out. So without further ado, let's cut back to past Jack. The only problem I'm having so far is I can't figure out how to get my mouth to move. I don't even know if the game audio is coming through or not, but we're gonna have to find out. So, wish me luck. I hope everything goes well. I've never played this game before, so let's begin. And now I have to figure out how to turn off the camera. Oh! That's easy enough. So, we are going to search up a few worlds. Active instances. So, oh, here's one. VR flat. Let's try this one. Let's join. And we're gonna see if we can meet some people. I have no clue what any of this stuff does. I've never played this game before, so we're actually gonna check it out. And it looks like it's extremely different from like the loading screen in VRChat. Wow. It was less of a loading screen and more of just like jumping right in. I'm actually normally a VRChat player, so this is my first time actually playing this game. Is there like more active worlds that it doesn't show?
About 50 to 75% of players are in private instances, which is quite sad in a way. European active hours will basically start in like half an hour to an hour-ish. We'll soon start heading into a little bit more active hour. But one thing that's unique here is the prop system. The ability to spawn anything, no matter what world you're in. Can you see this?
The car? Is that what you're talking about?
One thing I can recommend just for today when showcasing stuff, go into your prop filter and set everything to show. So in settings and then prop filter is like in the middle of the settings. There is a very extensive security system, so you can basically select every single thing that you want to see and don't want to see, and if you want it for everyone, friends or no one. And then there are some things that won't show or included in the mature DLC because German laws. In the like the prop filter, there's enable colliders. Have that one as enable.
What does that stuff do exactly, like the colliders?
That's basically how I can stand on this car at the moment. It's also like a security way so that people can push you around with mobs.
So one question I have is I noticed that the mouth doesn't move on this avatar. Is there like a way to make it so the mouth moves on avatars?
Go into your avatar filter and set show on everything there as well. There are major updates incoming as well. They're all on the experimental branch at the moment. They're swapping out a lot of those things.
I noticed the weird thing too is I don't know if it's like a setting or anything, but I noticed like the default you don't see like the avatar loading like you do on VRChat.
It shows your current avatar until it has loaded in the other one and then swaps it. Yeah, you can see other people loading, but not yourself. Chillout hasn't until like this week had any funding except a little bit on Patreon, so none of their developers have been able to really work full-time on the game. This week they announced that they finally gotten full sponsorship, so now they actually have full-time employees and everything.
It sounds to me like this game is still like early on in development.
But
and, like,
it kind of is. Like it's only been basically passion development. But yeah, can you see that for example?
Yeah, I can see the Minecraft stuff.
That's one of the props. So you can search for props, for example. So if you search for Minecraft, like in your big menu at the bottom, you have search. Yeah, you can search for avatar, worlds, and props. So if you search for Minecraft, you'll find a Minecraft builder, for example, and I can show you how to use that one.
Minecraft builder. Oh.
So if you hold it in one hand and put your finger into it with the other hand, you should see a menu pop up.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
And select the blocks by actually pushing in your finger into them. And then you can put them down using the trigger button.
That's actually really cool.
And there is a trash can option as well so that you can delete blocks.
Trash can option.
So I've seen people build entire houses and everything using this. So there is a very extensive prop system. And another thing that we also have is a mod system. So we have several very active mod developers. Estron has just joined as one of them.
Yeah.
One that's jumping around here very fast.
So this game actually like encourages people to mod. mod on it.
Yeah, like they've added something called mod network, so mods can actually network safely as well.
That's one thing I really never understood with VRChat. I understand the crashers and everything, trying to get rid of those, but I didn't really understand like the whole banning mods entirely thing.
Didn't get rid of crashers. It's a sad part.
Is this game available on Quest at all?
Not
yet.
One other interesting thing actually that I can showcase. Do you see this thing?
Yeah, see that.
Click it.
Click it. Whoa. So it just straight up sends you to the back rooms?
Yep, so a world inside a world.
That is something I never thought I would see. So a little bit after that, I had joined another world, and I actually came into contact with one of the moderators of Chillout VR, who actually invited me to an event that's supposed to be taking place tonight, where he said he will explain to me and you guys a lot of the new details that people like the person that we met yesterday didn't tell us about. So I think it's vital that we learn a little bit about this stuff. There's a whole events calendar and everything. I forget what the event's called tonight, but I'm gonna interact with them real quick, and you guys are gonna get to see just how much they actually have planned, because it's an amazing amount. So let's just get right into it. Wow, so it looks like this world is kind of reminiscent of the Black Cat. There we go.
I should load instantly. I am a bot.
I like that loading in effect. So I just want to really quickly go over like some of the stuff that you told me about last night, because A, I forgot it, and B, the audience hasn't heard it yet.
Sure, let me go over here and show you some stuff. Well, one, you may notice from before that this kind of looks like, it looks like the Black Cat. The reason why is because Black Cat was uploaded here like 3 years ago, and they stopped updating it. So it might literally not even work in the newest version of the Unity that we're going to. This one here has actually been constantly updated by Lensair. It's actually been rebuilt from scratch. It has an outside dance floor upstairs. Steam audio is in this world. It has a nav mesh agent, so if you make an NPC, you can actually have it navigate this world. And the rooms, as you can see, are a lot bigger. People like to drive cars in here sometimes. Here, 2 seconds. I'm gonna press a button.
So what, were you just in desktop mode and then just like switch to VR just like that?
So the thing I'm using there is a mod. There is actual plans for that function to be just like a feature. It's not in just yet. So users stepped up and just made a mod to do it. Another one too, it's different. And it's something that this world can show off is if you notice, like I can't go under here because of how tall my avatar is. But in this game, your height from your feet to your head is actually dependent on where your collider is. Yeah, if you were to make an air vent just like in Half-Life, which I actually have, this is a good example of it. I'm too tall because my head position, so just lightly crouching gets me through the air vent. And then you can actually walk through and get all the way through to the other side of something like that. Here, let me, so in the game, if you're trying to grab an object from a distance, you hold down the trigger and you pull back just like you would in Half-Life Alyx, and it pulls objects towards you. It actually has like physics to it. It will arch usually, but props and world items like come at different rates. So this room has audio link, which people are used to audio link in like VRChat, but in this game it has a dedicated script for it, and the script itself can take that information not just to textures but to parameters. So for people that know how to build with this, it means you can take a prop, an avatar or a world, and have it directly animate in time to music, not just animate with the texture. Just do it within the logic of an animator, which anyone can use. So it's not like a scripting language. Just so you understand, so you take your left hand, press some buttons.
Oh,
You see
pressing
the
like...
menu? So whatever button you pressed, depending on what your controller is, if you press it again and close it, now press and hold it to open it and keep holding it. And you'll see a red line appear on the menu. This is because the menu is actually grabbable. Once you see this, you can just let go of the button and then grab onto the menu and move it around. Now, keep in mind, it only attaches to your left hand at the moment. If you place it really far away from your left hand, that's where it's going to spawn next time, so I don't recommend doing that.
Okay.
The other menu is the one with your right hand. Now, one of the things is at the bottom of the menu, there's a search bar that's underneath the clock. Type in CVR event. One of the first search results you'll find is under props. If you click it, there is the thing for the CVR events calendar, and this is like different events that other people have made in here. This isn't one that's sponsored by the game. This is just people happen to be like, hey, I want to do community events. Anytime someone hosts an event and says, hey guys, I'm going to be here at this time, people show up. One of my favorite things to show off, but I never mention this to people, is so Yeah, again, like stuff like this. This prop has two things on it. The first one is colliders, and the second one's called movement parent. In this game, movement parent's not on by default, so new players don't get targeted with this, and it can automatically move players once they've interacted with the collider. It translates motion too. This is just really slow, but if it was faster, it would translate that motion. I turn on while I'm on this, I'll probably shoot across. So like the motion's translated to users. But if you want to turn that on, go to settings and interaction. There's one that's called enable movement parent.
Probably a smart thing for a lot of people to do would be to show that for friends, correct?
Yeah, if people are abusing it, they're adding features into the game to help users with that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of quality of life mods that people put in here because VR experience is there's very niche things, user things that the developers really don't need to spend their time on because they're trying to put big core features into the game. And those user things, it can change how the game works. Like if you go to give feedback for the game about chairs, for instance, and they're currently rebuilding chairs, they can take your feedback and put that into while they're changing chairs. So like that's how the feedbacks usually works. And there's also feature requests as well. You always show people these kinds of props because they show off very specific things. Like this one, if you click it, there's a lot of worlds that are even in VRChat that do this as well. But this is just like how old video games are made in general. They have like sheets of textures that they use. And so when you render stuff, what it really comes down to is how many draw calls are you rendering? Because you have a frame, and every single frame you have a bunch of different draw calls that have to wait in order. It's kind of like a list of things being rendered one after another. And so a single material could have multiple draw calls, let alone how many different materials you're using. So if this uses one material in one texture, it has a very minimal amount of draw calls. And it makes your rendering of this very fast. On optimization side, props can be really small. This is only like a megabyte, but you loaded it and it's giant like a world. Or like just if the characters just want to roleplay stuff for like a scene and they need a crop, you don't have to go to a world with those specific items. They can have a collection of those items and take them anywhere.
So right about here is when the developers started talking about a whole bunch of other complicated things you can do, such as disabling avatars at a distance, filtering friends, and showing a distance avatar, which all those three settings together really do is just make it so an avatar doesn't spawn in after a certain distance, and instead you get this little asterisk. Along with this, he also explained some other complicated settings and sliders in the experimental section, which are simply made for you to mess with and increase your performance in the game. And all this really does is it makes it so if you have a lower end computer, it doesn't just turn into a fiery ball of slowness. So I would encourage a lot of new users to mess with the sliders in the experimental settings to figure out what works for their computer. But overall, it really doesn't affect much outside of your performance from what I've seen. So I would also like to mention that just like with VRChat, there is a graphics section in the settings as well, which these settings can also greatly increase your performance. I noticed at one point that after just changing one of these settings, my FPS immediately went up from like 20 to 60 frames. So looking at those settings can also be extremely important for people with a low-end PC as well.
The menus look really scary because there's a lot of settings and they're like, oh my god, what does all this do? But it all has a purpose. If you're a VR user and you love VR, in social VR games, these are user settings to control your experience. And they are rebuilding menus. That is something that's happening. If you want more information on this kind of stuff, I'd highly recommend just going through the public announcement that they make about the game. And if you're interested, there's also a Patreon that they have to also help support the game as well.
Chillout VR, out of what I've experienced so far, being someone who is normally extremely biased to VRChat, really does seem to be a really good alternative. I found that the transition was actually a lot smoother than I thought it would be. Granted, there are a few issues, like with the menu being very confusing, and search systems, if you don't know what you're looking for, it's hard to find things, but as people create more mods for this game, it will make things easier for people to search up avatars, to go ahead and alter their menu and customize it in such a way that it's less confusing. I find really that the only downside that I can find right now is that there's just not a lot of users that play this game yet, and I think that comes down to there's not a lot of people like me who are telling people about it. So I really think that if you like VRChat and you have a PC, It is not currently compatible with Quest, and while that is in the works, if you do have a PC, I would recommend you try this game. The more time I spend in this game, the more I realize that this game and VRChat, while they are competitors, are very different in their missions and models. So, depending on the experience you want, I'd say check out both games. I'd say both games do still have a use. And I think competition is something that is extremely important in the gaming industry because it's going to force both Chillout VR and VRChat to up their game to compete with the other. Check out Chillout VR because there's a lot of good features, and express what you like. Talk to the devs of these games through the contact information that they have, and all that it's going to take for this to really get out there, as much as VRChat is for more people to really check out this game, put their time and effort into this game, and really try to get to know it. And I really hope that both VRChat and Chillout VR are able to succeed. I love both of these games already. I love VRChat. It's the reason why I've played it for 2.5 years now. And I'm already falling in love with Chillout VR. So check out both of the games. Give them both a good reason to try harder. But with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like or dislike, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all in the next video. This is Jack Dangerous, signing off.